So I wanted to touch on a handful of things really quick. Okay. Alien Romulus had a new trailer drop.
Dude, that looks so good!
I want more plot explained, but this, because...
The tone, though.
The tone looks perfect.
Fuck.
The tone looks perfect.
That looks terrifying.
But I'm just a little wondering of what the plot is actually going to be. There seems to be some kind of religious element to it, which sounds about right. There's a lot of face huggers. It seems like face huggers are going to be the big part of the plot, but then my question becomes... what happens when the face huggers do their thing? Because usually there's another whole thing after that. That's kind of the bigger problem. Yeah. But I love like the scanner that they have so they can see inside and everything.
That was so cool.
And it's just I'm sitting here, I'm like, I really want this again. I really want this to be good because I liked Covenant enough, but I didn't like it so much that I've like bought it and watched it again. Yeah. But in comparison to Prometheus, I liked it more than Prometheus. Prometheus is just like it's such a mixed bag. Yeah. It's such a mixed bag of like for every Idris Elba and Charlize Theron, there's a Guy Pearce and a
Danny McBride.
He's in Covenant. But Noomi Rapace and like just all these things and the whole fucking thing with David. David better not be in this fucking movie because that is such a distraction.
No, I don't think
it gets so far off of what we are trying to accomplish. I don't even know what the fuck that was about.
And it's like I think the big problem with Prometheus is he was trying to make an alien movie without making an alien movie. Yeah. And it's like, you should have just leaned into it.
You should have just, or have I would accept that this God Society existed, but was felled by their own hubris by xenomorphs.
Yes.
I would have accepted that, but it turned into this whole like, well, now David is going to go find the creator of his creators and he's going to go kill them in honor of his creators. None of it makes any sense.
And it's like you already made it that the, what were they called again?
I don't even
engineers,
remember. Yeah.
Right? The engineers are creators, but why wouldn't you make them the creator of the xenomorph we know now and it kills their planet?
And that's why they're so hard to kill, is because they're born of gods.
Exactly. Instead of this rogue fucking android that decides to just, I'm going to make it. Yeah. And then they turn into this world-ending thing. It's like, no, dude.
It gets so complicated up its own ass. Yeah, and it gets too far. So I want this to be good. The last few Alien movies, for whatever they're called, I have a little hesitancy over, but I want this to be good. I think this can be good. I like the idea of going back to space. Let's go back to basics. Let's go back to pre-aliens. Let's just get the basic premise of Alien right.
And what very similar franchise just did this recently?
RoboCop?
Prey.
Oh, Prey, yes.
Went back to basics.
Go back to basics.
Basic on Earth. There's predator coming down.
Alien in a jungle scenario with a hunter who is extremely good at what they do. Who's going to win?
Limit the special effects. Yes. Limit seeing the alien.
Yes.
Just make it more about the human and the struggle and the tension and...
have the special effects be saved for things like being able to see the chest cavity.
Yes.
So that is just enhanced even more.
Exactly.
Of like all of the feelings that you have about a face hugger, but now you can see it happening. Yeah. And it's like, no, that was the one thing, was that you didn't want to see it happening. You saw the after effect and you were like, God, that's awful. The idea of being able to see this from inception. It's like, oh. So that looks cool. I don't know if you watched this, Tales of the Ninja Turtles. They're coming out with an animated series on Paramount.
I've seen, because when my son and I watched the Knuckles show, they had a bunch of advertisements for it.
Yeah.
So...
yeah,
I'm not
it's based
sold
on
the
movie.
Animation, really.
I'm not sold on the premise. Yeah. The thing that I'm not sold on is the premise. The animation I'm good with. The premise I'm a little off and on.
The animation reminds me of the DuckTales reboot.
Yeah,
that David Tennant voice.
Yeah,
Scrooge
well, this
McDuck
is what all mainstream animation looks like now, is like this kind of pseudo flash animation that's not great, but it's super cheap. Yeah, and so they make a ton of shit for it, and it's a frustration for a lot of people I know. But I don't mind this. I think it's an interesting premise to have a new show based on this series or based on this movie. I just don't know if we need another story about what happens when the turtles are separated.
Yes.
I just don't know that that's like, again, this The problem is that you've had 30 years of animated series based on the Turtles, so it's hard to... They've gone to the future. They've gone to the past. They've gone to Battle World. They've gone to fucking Mortal Kombat Battle World.
Yeah.
They've gone to the sewers of New York. They've gone to space. They've gone to alternate dimensions. They've gone to Earth Prime. Like, they've done all this shit already. So what's there left to do?
Yeah.
So I guess that's the question is, if you really like the style of the movie, that's what you're in for.
And I've never liked the dividing up the Turtles. Like, when you send Raph off because he's being...
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Within the context of the story.
Like, the other two wouldn't leave Leonardo.
Well, and like the one that I saw that I was like, this is interesting. This is an interesting interpretation, is the TMNT, the animated movie that has Chris Evans and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
It was from the
mid-2000s, Patrick Stewart, Lawrence Fishburne, a few other people. The beginning of that movie is premised on Leo has been sent to go and do a mission in South America to kind of learn and to become a full leader. And while he's gone, what happens to the other three without a leader? And so Raph goes off and becomes a vigilante. Mikey, for some reason, decides to become a party clown. And Donnie is doing over-the-phone IT.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's one of those things where they present and you're like, okay, no, it's not that I can't see this. I can 100% see this. I just don't understand the premise of why.
Yeah.
If you have a job, it's to have money. There's no other reason to have a job except to get money. Why do the Turtles need money? They've never needed money before. So,
and like the biggest complaint with the sequels to Star Wars is you never had Luke, Han, and Leia together in the same scene, because that's what people want, because what made those movies special is the interaction between those three. And what makes the Turtles special is they're different personalities together, not separate.
And that's one of the things I do like about that animated movie is that premise is kind of taken out immediately. Like, that's the opening thing is like, this is where they are, and now Leo comes back like in the first 15 minutes of the movie, and now we have to kind of reconfigure the team and get Raph to kind of come back off the ledge and all these other things, both literally and metaphorically. So I want this to work. I'm so tired of saying that. I'm interested in seeing this.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to be committed to watching it because I don't really love the premise of the show. I just, again, the all mutants must die thing is just like, okay.
And I would love to see what the age demographic is for people who watch the Turtle properties nowadays.
Yeah.
Because my guess, just going off of my son and his friends who could give two shits, and they're 9 about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, my guess is it's older.
They have to make the original.
That's
the last thing they have to do. The last thing they have to do is lean all the way in and make a PG-13. It doesn't have to be full R, but you could go R. But at least a hard PG-13 version of the Turtles. Make it in black and white where people die. And it's a big deal because I know the Shredder dies and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And tossed in the back of a garbage truck and then murdered by Casey Jones, except that he lives. So it's not murder.
It's not murder.
But
no, I agree with you. It's like that's their final
That's the last place to go. They don't have anywhere else to go.
That's their clientele now.
And
older people.
When I was saying things that they've done that in the show. Where there's a Ninja Turtle show where I think it's from the same era as the movie we were just talking about, mid-2000s. Early to mid-2000s. It's a very okay show. It's not amazing, but it's pretty decent. It's a little slow. My big thing is that it's like a Naruto-paced show where it's just like, okay, all right, come on, let's go. What are we doing? As I think the finale of the series, there's a spinoff, but as the finale to the core series, they have to do an interdimensional thing with the Turtles from '89. And the Shredders are trying to destroy the Turtles, and they end up at Earth Prime, and Earth Prime is the original comic book with the original animation and style. All the guys are wearing red bands. Like, it's straight out of the original without necessarily the full tone of the original.
I got you.
But it's a solid homage to the original. And it's like, okay, so you can do this. Yeah. You do have this in your quiver. I want you to do it. I want you to go there.
Original creators want it bad too. I've seen that documentary where they're like, we would really like to see what we created.
Like, that's the thing, is that it's so rarely have we ever had a property that has had so many interpretations and adaptations, and none of them have been of the original work.
No, it's so deviated.
They've all been of mirror images of the original work. But none of them have been the original.
Well, and it's just because the stupid executives that own these properties now, they're like, well, no adult wants to watch something about 4 turtles. It's like, no, we actually do.
We really do.
We really fucking do.
Are you dumb?
It's like, you probably still think video games are for kids too, don't you?
Animation is only for children.
Okay, yeah.
I got news for you, son.
Yeah, DC has something to say about that. Apocalypse War, go watch that.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. When you get to the end of Apocalypse War and we run into Wonder Woman again,
oh, my God.
Wonder Woman and Mira, I'm just like, oh, my... And Starfire. Yeah. Just like, oh, my God.
It's a different world,
man. This is insane.
Yeah.
So
good.
Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earth Part 2 coming to a NerdPod Generation episode near you soon.
Maybe next week.
Anyway... Wallace and Gromit has a new short that's coming out. I'm hopeful because they're bringing back the Penguin. I'm also scared because they're bringing back the Penguin. So I did want to touch on, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, I was talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Yes.
And I went back and I fixed the settings.
Okay.
So now the auto aim is working and it doesn't have the same issues that I had.
Okay.
As case in point, the thing that I was stuck on that was just like a little side quest I did in maybe 20 seconds with the auto aim on, and it was just like, this is where the problem has been.
Gotcha.
Playing through it, it's really, really fun.
Nice.
I really like it for a lot of reasons. One, while it is a little slow and clunky, you can go back and get stuff that you missed.
Okay.
And it does automatically show up in your current game.
Awesome.
So I wish that you could skip cutscenes and that kind of stuff and dialogue you don't need to listen to when you're trying to replay, so you can go and get costumes or pick up extra parts, but whatever, it's fine. The fact that they have driven this line that's right in between the movies and the comics. It's so fascinating to me. As we're going through, you have some stuff that you recognize, right? So you have Peter Quill listening to 80s rock, right? Okay. He's listening to hair metal. There's a hair metal band called Star-Lord. That's his favorite band.
Nice.
And but there's all this 80s classic rock and pop music always playing on the ship. You can go through and just pick what song you want to play.
Okay.
We have discussions of Star-Lord's father. Okay. All right.
Okay.
And it's Jason of Spartax. We got there, folks. We did it. It took a while, but we got there. And he has the guns, but the guns are element guns like they're supposed to be, where they shoot ice and fire and other things, not just lasers. Okay? And he is the son of the king of Spartax. And his dad had to leave, and that's why he's not here anymore. It's not ego. He's not born of celestials. He's born of an ancient race, like the elves, but he is not a god, okay, or a demigod, as they made him in the Marvel canon. And he doesn't go and play catch with his dad.
Oh, God, don't bring that up.
And his dad doesn't turn into fucking Hasselhoff. And, just so many dumb things. You have Drax. Drax is so close to the original character that James Gunn brought to us.
Okay.
Now, he's not exactly like the comic books. The comic books, he's a little bit gruffer, a little bit meaner. But it is that line of he takes everything literally. He doesn't understand a lot of customs and things. Okay. As a result. So when people are talking, colorfully, he is kind of like, there's that joke of like, no, that's not true. We're doing this. And it's like, I think, there's a line about like, this thing could power the sun. And he's like, that's impossible. Nothing could power the sun. And it's like that kind of thing of just like, he's taking it very seriously. But there's this really deep pathos to Drax as a character.
Interesting.
Where he is clearly thinking all the time. And he is put in charge of things.
Okay.
There's a doubt that he'll be able to accomplish them. But when it's shown that he has the best opportunity to handle a situation, the reins are given over to Drax. And he's not just dumb. He's not just slowly eating nuts because he's invisible if he slowly eats nuts. And he's not just some brute dumbass who doesn't understand anything, where he's just a child.
Yeah.
He has real deep regret for the loss of his family that we never talk about after Guardians 1. That never comes up. We hear about how he killed Thanos, and he's like, I don't think I killed him. I think I got as close to killing him as you can. I think he's still out there. He likes to go, they go to nowhere, and nowhere is the actual edge of the known universe, which is what it's supposed to be. So there's a rift on the other side of nowhere because you don't know where it goes. And so Drax just goes and stares at the rift and thinks about his family and what he's done with his life and where he's been and where he's going and what he wants to accomplish. And it's just like, where was this during the Christmas special? Yeah. Where's this shit been? Where's this shit been? And, you know, Rocket is still Rocket. Groot is still Groot. Gamora is still Gamora. Mantis is this prophetic person who goes around, and when she meets you, she can kind of read your past, present, and future all at once. And so she'll tell you something, and it's disarming and weird, and only you know what it means.
Wait, does she show her mean face?
No, she doesn't have a mean face because she actually is a three-dimensional character.
No, that doesn't exist.
Who at some point saved Gamora.
There is no female character in Marvel in modern Marvel that's the case.
She has an entourage that are constantly like a religious entourage that are like, you need to go here, you need to do this, and she's like, no, I don't. She's like an elven oracle where everybody is trying to point her in a direction, and she's like, no, I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Get out of my way. I know where I'm going.
That's so awesome.
And she could definitely handle herself in a fight if she had to.
Nice.
And it's just she has green skin. It's so much closer to everything that we should have seen in the movies. And it's just, now that I've gotten the flow of the game, there are still elements of it that I do regret. I still think the game would be more fun if you could play as each individual Guardian.
Yeah, that still doesn't make sense to me.
I think that there's a lot of grinding in this game. I think that there's the pacing on it needs to be tweaked and enhanced a little bit, but the fact that we're talking about the Nova and the World Mind, that's huge. That's so enormous. I can't get over that. That's so cool. Like, I was excited when you brought up Richard Rider, but then you bring up World Mind, and I'm like, oh fuck, somebody did their research, man. It's not just like, oh, the Badoon, and we're just like references. No, like World Mind, the whole thing, where it's the supercomputer. It's basically very similar to Supremor, the Supreme Intelligence, but for the Nova. So it's just this big computer that enhances the powers of everybody. So take Supremor and the Guardians from Oa, the Green Lantern Guardians. Smash them together. That's World Mind. It's one entity made up of millions that bestows power on people in order for them to do good and justice and protect others. So when the Universal Church of Truth corrupts the World Mind and starts turning Nova into just these roving bands of killers, it's a problem. And that's kind of what the plot is growing into. And it's like, okay, we're getting there. We're getting somewhere. And it's interesting and fascinating. And the Blood Brothers are here. Who thought they were going to show up? I never thought that was going to be a thing. Cosmo is here. We're doing the whole thing with Nowhere. Everything about this is thrilling and exciting. And I'm much happier now that the auto aim is on. Nice. Because I can actually play the fucking game.
You can actually shoot something.
But it's really fun. It's a fun game. And more than anything, it's scratching an itch that I had forgotten I needed scratched. You know, it's one of those things where for so long now, when Guardians came out in 2014, I didn't know shit about it. So I started reading comics, and I was like, oh, look at all this cool stuff. Look at all this cool stuff. And then the Guardians 2 came out, and I was like, uh-oh. And then the Christmas special came out, and I was like, we're dead. We're dead in the water. And then Guardians 3 came out, and I was like, this doesn't make us not dead in the water, guys. When, you remember Layla from Guardians 3, the otter with the... Yeah, okay, so she's not a weird otter with metal arms. She's just an otter.
Okay.
But she has a tragic backstory that Rocket tells us that's actually gut-wrenching to hear. And you're just like, man, where was this the entire time? Because every time we went and talked about Half-World in Guardians 3, it was as a joke. None of this was serious. That's why you had a walrus named Teefs. Now, I'm not saying Walrus is a better name, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, and especially right now, for the Xbox, the standard edition on Amazon is $15. And actually, it's more for PlayStation 4, but PlayStation 5, more for that too. It's $29. But so if you got an Xbox, it's only $15.
Yeah. And it is a really good interpretation of the Guardians. I'm now hopeful that we might get like a Faye Lavelle. We might get a Moondragon. It's not impossible. Moondragon is the daughter of Drax. So I want to know what's going on with Heather Douglas.
I mean, that would be if they were, I think if you got a sequel to the game, but I don't know if it's sold well enough that they're going to make a second.
Well, so this game seems long and winding as I go through it. And it seems long because I'm taking my time. I'm trying to find everything on my first run through. But it's also just in terms of like the pacing of the game seems a little long. There's a lot of walking in corridors and that kind of shit. Even when you're trying to go as quickly as possible through the game, it still isn't like the fastest paced game. So I'm really curious if we're going to get further, reveals, because I didn't think we were going to get Mantis, and then Mantis showed up. I didn't know if we were going to get Cosmo, and Cosmo showed up with his puppies. And we're like, all right, we got shit, guys. It's here, and we're doing it. Do I need Bug? I'm not saying I need Bug. Do I need the guy? I found a guy in a weird Nova prison that I don't know who he is, but he's a Terran. Is that Jack Flag? I don't know, but now I'm curious. Now I gotta know. Now I want to go and find out.
I got you.
So
well, that's good.
Yeah,
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I do like when we can add video games. We have not added enough video games into
the watch play the play part.
Yeah,
of watch play reading,
which I am happy to say will change shortly because oh god, one of my favorite games ever is coming back out in the middle of July. I already have it pre-ordered. Pre-order went in this week for NCAA football. Which,
really? It's
for
back.
Those of you, it's back.
Now that
the players are getting paid.
They've settled their various lawsuits.
Yes. And let me tell anyone, this game was so great, and Madden was taking such a hit because of the college football game that the last year they had the college football game, I remember because it always comes out a month before Madden. When Madden was coming out, GameStop had a thing saying they would give you, I think, $50 towards Madden if you traded in the college football game because no one was pre-ordering Madden because college football game was 1,000 times better, and I hope it's the same.
I've never played the NCAA games,
dude,
so I've only ever played Madden.
It's night and day difference.
This is my thing, is that Madden, the reason I haven't played Madden in almost 10 years now, the last Madden I got had Odell Beckham Jr. on it after his rookie season.
Oh, that's
how long ago it's been.
Yeah, that's been a while.
So I haven't done it because they got rid of a lot of the things I love.
Yeah.
The create a team, the ability to build your own roster. You can still make players, but it's kind of wonky now. They haven't updated it at all, and you're like, this is something that should have been updated a long time ago. And it's really the create a team thing. I'm still butthurt.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if, because I remember the last college football game, mind you, this has been quite a long time since the last. I think it was working at Chili's back then, so it's been it's been over a decade. They had it where you could go online to a website, create your college from everything from the music to the uniforms to where it is, and then upload it into the game. I don't know if that's something that's going to be, because this game is only going to be on next-gen systems, mainly because I remember when I first played it, it's insane. They have every college with their fight songs, with their colors, their stadium, everything. Now, so we're hundreds.
This is with the caveat that EA doesn't screw the pooch.
I don't think if they screw the pooch on this, they're completely dead to me. Because this was their home run, and the way it was a home run is they didn't put in every song as a hip hop song and all. And now, mind you, I'm not saying anything negative for hip hop fans. I just hate hip hop music, and the old Madden would give you a variety of music, including the old NFL Films music. Doesn't even have that anymore.
No, that's insane.
Like I never have the sound on, but when I play the college football game and they have the full band fight songs and all that, and you hear the crowd doing chants, dude, totally get you in the game. And if they screw that up, I'm gonna be so pissed. Because it was such, just the experience, and you have all the mascots, and they used to have mascot games where you could play as all the mascots. It was so great. So I don't know. I'm hopeful. I want to say it's July 14th or something. I know it's middle of July.
That sounds right, because the college football season usually starts around early to mid-August.
Yeah, kind of around that. It's always a little bit before the pros, but man, I can't wait. I can't, and I will be fully reviewing that when it comes out.
I bet.
Because if it's good. The only negative is people like me who only got Madden just because I really wanted to play a football game will never buy Madden again.
Well, I think that that's going to happen one way or another.
Yeah.
I think that if you had a NFL Streets like we used to have, or an NFL Blitz, or any of those other, even the quarterback club, and what was the other one?
Well, 2K was the best. 2K5 is still one of my favorite football games ever.
Yeah.
And it was $20 when it came out to really stick it to Madden, and it blew it away because of that. It was so good.
They always allowed themselves to have fun.
Yeah.
Madden, because John Madden had a very specific vision, and I can deeply appreciate Captain Turducken's vision. I'm saying that as a joke. I actually do deeply respect John Madden.
Yes.
You can tell because I'm joking about him. If I didn't, I would just be calling him derisive things, like Captain Turducken.
I like that name.
But anyway, he wanted it to be as realistic as possible.
Yes.
To the point where they would go in between seasons and tinker with the likelihood of various things happening depending on the statistics from the season before, which is why, for no reason, if you throw a pass anywhere over the middle, you'll be intercepted in
by a middle linebacker.
Most Madden games. It's insane. It doesn't happen nearly that much in real NFL, but if you play Madden, you cannot go over the middle at all. Middle is no good. And if you don't have a running back that's over a 95, you're not going to go anywhere either. I always liked NFL Blitz and those other games because they allowed themselves to have fun and have silly elements to the games.
I agree.
You know, and it's like when you watch I think it was NBA Streets 2K something, but they had like Mario and Luigi in the game, and it's like, see, we can have fun.
Would you remember some of the unlockable characters in the old NBA Jam was like Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
And you played, it was like, I'm playing as Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Against Larry Bird. This is amazing.
Yeah. So that was always what
I'm hoping
made me more interested in those games.